Now, I know you get very good feedback and reviews from your clients. What do you put that down to? What's the secret?
I tell them up front that I'm going to make a mistake.
Welcome to Building Perspective, the Master Builders SA podcast. I'm your host, Will Frogley. Join me as I speak with some characters in the building and construction industry.
How did CBUS become a top-performing super fund? By returning an average of 9.25% every year for the past 37 years. What does that mean? Well, it means we're pretty darn reliable. CBUS, for all of us. To consider if CBUS is right for you, go to cbussuper.com.au for a PDS and target market determination. Past performance is not a reliable indicator of future performance.
Welcome to Building Perspective, the Master Builders SA podcast. What does it take to grow and run and maintain a successful business? Our guest today knows exactly that. Steve Walker, owner of Kookaburra Homes. Welcome, Steve.
Thank you, Will. I really appreciate it. It feels weird being on this side of the desk. I think last time we were here, I was on that side. So, yeah, it's good to be a guest for once. Thank you.
Yeah, Steve's a veteran of the podcast game. He's run his own podcast. He features in every second podcast under the sun. But yeah, welcome, Steve.
Yeah, thank you. I still get nervous.
And Steve's a guy who I've known for a few years now. He's really done a great job of growing his business, Kookaburra Homes. But he's also someone that is very selfless in the industry, I find, and someone that I've got a great deal of respect for. So. It's great to have you on this podcast, Steve.
No, I appreciate that, mate. Thank you. And everything that yourself personally and, your team at Master Builders has done for myself personally, but also Kookaburra Homes, it's really appreciated. Hence why I'm here today.
So, Steve, you've got a very interesting life story, and I want to delve into that today. But first, I think, just tell us about Kookaburra Homes and how you've been able to build that business over the last few years. It's very impressive.
Yeah, thank you. We got a really good team. I got a really good business partner as well, Wayne Goodwin, who he's been on the tools since he's 14 years old, and it's his responsibility to deliver a high quality product, which he's been doing his whole life. So I'm very grateful to him as well as the team. But Kookaburra Homes has been around for over 25 years now. I got involved with Kookaburra. I came in basically as a consultant 7 years ago. I was given a year by the previous owner to really fix up their sales and marketing department. It was in a world of pain. When
you say a world of pain, was it potential that the company could no longer exist, or was it that bad?
Yeah, 100%. It's the previous operators, and they were great at what they did. It was just anyone out there that has a mum and dad residential construction business will understand and appreciate it's really, really hard. It's hard to maintain that for a long time. When I came in, they had been around for nearly 20 odd years, so they were doing something right, but they were at a stage where they needed to take it to the next level. They needed to adapt and transition because the market had changed as well, and they really needed help with that. They had a really strong commercial business, which was upholding the residential side. I think it was Kevin Rudd when he announced the school halls program, which really kept Kookaburra on their feet for a period of time and gave me enough time to get the residential side up to speed. So when I came in, the numbers weren't on the board. They weren't selling, and what they were selling, they were giving everything away to get that sale. So low margins as well. So a deadly combination. Inexperienced sales team, marketing department didn't exist. So it was my responsibility to really rebrand and put the right sales mechanisms in place to set them up to have success, which I did over 12 months. And I got to a stage where I was really comfortable that I could leave. And I said to the owner, okay, I'm going to cruise now. I'm going to go help someone else. And he propositioned me and said, hey, would you be interested in purchasing the business? I got together with Wayne, and we bought him out. And that was official ownership was probably maybe 4 years ago. And we went from $5-6 million in sales a year to $60-70 million in sales per year.
That's pretty incredible, mate. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, so there's a lot of work because a lot of rebranding.
How many homes are you building a year now?
We'll go 150 to 180, but the big thing was the average dollar value. We were always known as a transportable home builder. We had Keith Daniels Homes, which was predominantly brick veneer, and then we had Kookaburra Transportable Homes. So what I did was I killed off the Keith Daniels side of the business, which wasn't really performing, got rid of the word transportable and just called ourselves Kookaburra Homes. And we lifted average transaction value from $171,000 to $444,000, which is today Now, to do that, that took a lot of work and a lot of years of rebranding and demonstrating to the market that we could build value and demonstrate value to allow us to go and charge, that sort of money. I remember when I first started, we were asking for a $2,000 deposit up front. We now ask for $15,000 because we've been able to demonstrate the value that we give back. But it took a lot of work, and it wasn't just me. It was building out a really, really good team that cared about what they do and were passionate about it, and also, had the skill set to match as well. So big credit to my team.
I think you do a great job of promoting your business and getting it seen, and you seem to be able to do that very well with probably a fraction of the resources that others might have. What kind of things have you put in place to be cost effective but also very effective?
Yeah, so we doubled down on social media 7 years ago, and I was just lucky that when I came into the business, we had no money. I couldn't even afford to do a half-page ad. Coming from another large volume home builder who predominantly focused on traditional advertising, TV, radio, newspaper, my first thought was, okay, I've got to run a half-page ad. I didn't have the funds to do so. So I literally jumped onto YouTube and Googled how to start a Facebook page. So when I came here, we had no social media presence at all. I started up all our social media platforms just out of the need of it having to be cost effective because I didn't have that money, and it was free. And the engagement back then was huge. You could put out a large number of content and the engagement was massive, very different to what we're seeing today. So I'm thankful in the fact that I didn't have any money back then, because now fast forward to, today, we are the second most engaged builder in the state, only second to Metricon, who, a massive national organisation with a huge marketing budget. So we've still to this day have never done any traditional advertising. We've built that business, the $5-6 million in sales to $60-70 million off the back of social media. So that's really how I've done it. So anyone out there who's starting out that maybe doesn't have a large marketing budget, you can still do it. You might not get the reach on the Facebook and the Instagram and things like that, but there are other platforms like LinkedIn, like TikTok, that you can still grow your business for a fraction of the cost.
And, I certainly find it incredible how many, admittedly small, but businesses in the building construction industry have got no social media whatsoever, no web page, and they're really missing out in terms of promoting their business to the public, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. They're still sticking with the traditional advertising, but that is slowly changing. Like I said, I would have done the exact same thing. It was just purely because I didn't have any money. I had to go down the other route, and it ended up paying off in the end. We put out 60 to 70 pieces of advertising content per week compared to my competitors that will either do 0 or 1. The other thing we focus on heavily as well, and where we get huge traction, is we very rarely talk product. We're always talking about our why. Why do we do things? Why does Kookaburra exist? So when I'm putting out content, it's community product. And that resonates really well with the consumer because they want to relate. They want to see the struggle. They want to see behind the curtain, where a lot of my competitors are still going to market and putting floor plan. So it's all product, where we're explaining the why. Why do we do things? And that resonates really well with consumers.
And Steve, like I said, Kookaburra, I think, does the marketing extremely well. And, you yourself have got a pretty interesting background that's not from the building construction industry. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, so, I don't have a marketing degree. I left school when I was, 14 years old. So I've had the privilege of being in front of a customer, for nearly 25 years now, coming up to 25 years. So I've got that benefit. I understand consumer behaviour very well because I did leave school at such a young age. So I had a really tough childhood. I came from an abusive home physically and verbally. So I literally ran away from home when I was 14, left school. I was lucky enough to meet a guy here in Adelaide at the Glendy Festival where I had a weekend job where his brother owned a silver circus. So I literally
ran away to join the circus.
Yeah, I'm an Elvis midday movie. So I ran away and joined the circus, did that for 7 or 8 months, then came back to Adelaide when I was effectively 15 years old and started doing door-to-door sales. So I did that for a year.
Sales of what?
Yeah, so I was walking around Adelaide CBD here, switching people over from Telstra to AAPT at the time, if anyone remembers AAPT. So, yeah, I was 15 years old, pretending I was 18 years old. My boss didn't know that I wasn't 18 because you had to be 18 to sign legally binding contracts. So there's a lot of contracts out there that are void, but that's what I had to do. I didn't have a home. I needed money. It was full commission, and most people last about 3 days doing that job, where I lasted about a year doing that job, knocking on doors around here in Adelaide, and I was quite successful in doing that, and that's where I got my first taste of sales. And then from there, I moved to Darwin because as a junior I was quite a good basketballer, and I had a SASSY scholarship here. When I went away and joined the circus and came back, I'd missed out on state tryouts, and someone had suggested that I move to Darwin because I'd get in straight away. And to keep your scholarship here in South Australia, you also have to be attending school, because it's actually illegal to leave school in year 9. So I went to Darwin by myself and got a job up there at Cash Converters, funny enough, and that was my first exposure to retail, and I did that for a number of years and then moved back down to Adelaide and got involved with Harvey Norman. Moved around the country with Harvey Norman, and then I was lucky enough to be given my first Harvey Norman franchise, which was in regional Queensland. Did really well there, and then got a really, really large store in Melbourne Metro, Harvey Norman Thomastown, which is out near the airport there. And then from there came back to Adelaide, got involved in construction 14 years ago as a salesperson, sales manager. And that's when I saw that there was a real opportunity, because retail is very fast paced. Everything's changing, because I predominantly worked in the IT section, so that technology is turning over all the time. Mm-hmm. So when I came to construction, I thought, oh, wow, the way that we do things here, especially when it came around sales and marketing, it was very old school. So that's where I saw there was an opportunity to go out there and really change the industry and the way that we market to consumers. And we've been doing that for 6 or 7 years, and it's paid off.
Yeah, it certainly has. And, you've gone from an organisation like Harvey Norman, which, obviously would be very strong in the marketing. Everyone knows the name Harvey Norman, and you've applied what you learnt there to the building industry. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And a lot of people say about my childhood, oh, that's so sad. I'm glad it happened. It was really hard at the time. Anyone that grows up in an abusive household, it's really, really hard. But I'm thankful that it did happen, because it allowed me to meet some really amazing people and mentors in my life, and it's allowed me to get to where I am now. So I wouldn't change a thing. I don't wish it upon anyone else, but I wouldn't change a thing, because it armed me with a pretty unique skill set that I can apply to business today. Resilience, never give up, be nice to others, show empathy. Yeah.
I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of people in the industry speak highly of you, Steve, is that they respect the fact that, you're entirely self-made. You're a self-made man. But despite everything that's happened, and despite the fact you've been very successful, you're also, very approachable and very selfless and very giving to not just the industry, but others in general as well. So I think that's a credit to you.
I appreciate that. The truth of the matter is, the reason why I do everything is for my kids. My parents they were drop kicks. They didn't do anything with their life. They didn't provide anything for their kids. So I'm trying to break that mold. I'm trying to break the chain. I'm trying to make my kids proud of me. I want them to walk around when they're adults themselves with their head held high. And I also think it's my responsibility to go through life and experience as much as possible, and that includes pain, so I can learn, reflect inwards, think about things, and then teach them and help them. Because even though I'm grateful for the life that I had, I don't wish it upon them or anyone else at all. So all I'm trying to do is break the mold, mate, and be completely different and make my kids really, really proud of me. And one way you can do that is demonstrate to your children that you're part of the community and you help others and you're selfless. So yes, I build homes, but it's not my passion. I don't really care about it, to be honest. I'm just trying to demonstrate to them that be nice to people and help people, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm a dad myself, so got 2 little girls, so I totally get it. I'm trying to be a good role model for my girls, and hopefully someone they can be proud of one day as well.
Yeah, and you are. Yep. You're highly regarded in the industry as well. The amount of empathy you have and kindness that you have to others as well. Members, I've been able to lean on you and talk to you as well, and about personal stuff, and I appreciate it a lot. Yeah.
Well, thanks for the words, Steve. I mean, I'm certainly very proud to have the position I have, because it is an opportunity to influence so many people's lives for the better, whether that's members, senior members, whether it's an apprentice on their first day. You can give them a real sense of purpose and make their livelihoods better. So it's a really big responsibility that I certainly don't take lightly, and I always try and do the best I can. And my approach as CEO, and something I've really tried to embed in our team, is we need to put ourselves in the shoes of a member and give them what they want and need. So that's definitely our philosophy.
Yeah, that's fantastic. No different to my business or anyone else's businesses out there, whether you employ one other person, whether it's just yourself, or whether you have 30 people on the books. We have a responsibility to come to work every day and create a safe, loving environment for those people. And it's a big responsibility. It's a really big responsibility.
So everyone in the industry kind of, is flat out at the moment. It's very well known. There's probably a perception out there from other people outside the industry that everyone's making a lot of money, but that's not necessarily the case, is it?
No, not at all. I'll make less money than ever this year. The challenges around material shortages, trade shortages, you can't blame anyone. If you talk about the home builder incentive, which you guys were heavily behind and pushing for, and it was fantastic. It was great. It's no one's fault. People were just trying. Whether it was government, state, federal, yourselves, everyone was just trying to do the right thing. We can't predict the future, especially that far out. And this is the perfect storm at the moment, the perfect storm. So, it is really challenging. I think consumers are doing an amazing job at understanding and being empathetic to the situation. I can't talk for every customer because I don't see all of them, but, mine in particular, yes, they're frustrated and there's high levels of anxiety, but you've got to pay them credit. They're doing a fantastic job at understanding what's happening in the industry at the moment. With increased prices and time frames, and some of our customers have really unique challenges. Health issues, babies being born, rental agreements ending, need to get out. I applaud them. I think they're doing a fantastic job. I think master builders have done an amazing job at communicating to consumers as well, and arming us builders with the tools that we need to then forward on to them to say, hey, it's not just Kookaburra, this is what the whole industry is experiencing at the moment. And there's some key suppliers that have done a really good job and got behind their builders as well. So it is challenging. I will make less money than ever because the pressure on margins and the trade shortages. You're paying top dollar for a trade now, which is okay, good on them. Yeah, it's great. But the perception that we're making more money than ever is definitely not real.
Yeah, there's definitely good and bad sides to the current boom, I guess. It's putting everyone under a lot of pressure, and it is blowing out build times for consumers. I agree with you. In general, they've been pretty understanding of the situation. I guess the positive side of the boom has really been how important building construction has been for the whole economy when we've really needed it through COVID. If you look at what retail and hospitality and industries like that are going through at the moment, it's really important that the building and construction industry has been that rock for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And look, if you pick hospitality for an example, like we've been pretty lucky. We were able to operate, for the past 2 years, get to site, construct things, bring money in. Where hospitality, it was a lot harder. So, we're not out there screaming poor because there's others out there that are doing it much tougher than us, industry-wise. So, very lucky and very grateful. But it is challenging. It's tough.
Steve, I know a real passion of yours is mental health.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us a bit about some of the things you're doing in that space at the moment?
Yeah, so it is a big focus of ours, and we've had some really good conversations about what do we do for your members. I'm really focusing internally at the moment with my staff because they are under an immense amount of pressure, not just our staff but also our customers as well. So we're looking at rolling out a number of mental health programs throughout our business to assist not just our staff members but also look for almost like warning signs within our customers as well, and educate our staff on how to ask the right questions. Because once again, it's not just our staff, it's the partners of the staff as well. How are they doing? Everyone's doing long hours at the moment. Everyone's going home with high levels of anxiety and stress, and that usually affects, the kids in the house, the partner. So we're rolling out a number of programs that will help educate our staff to arm them with the tools that they need to ask the right questions of others, but ask themselves the right questions as well, because it is really important, because everyone is struggling at the moment. Everyone is struggling. And you go back to, empathy and, how people say that, about me that, I'm approachable and things like that. I really try to be, because I have those challenges as well. I struggle with mental health all the time. It is, because it's really hard. Pressures of work, pressures of, a family. And then, you're taking on all the challenges and pressures of, your staff as well. And if you're a good leader, you'll do that. You just naturally do that. So, it's challenging at the moment.
It's definitely very important work you're doing there, because, the mental health issues in our industry have been well documented. Usually they focus more on commercial building with mates in construction and stuff like that. But I think there is a real gap in the residential side of things. And I know we're talking about what we might be able to do at Master Builders as part of that. But I think, building construction's a very, interesting industry, and it can be a very rewarding industry, but it's definitely not an easy industry to work in, is it?
No, not at all. Especially if you talk about those highly vulnerable people, the ages of, 20 to 30, a lot of them, coming off apprenticeships and not earning a lot of money. Sometimes the work can, not be a constant flow as well. So that can be challenging as well. So, our industry is high risk, and that's why we have to stop and take the time and educate ourselves and, make sure we are arming ourselves with everything that we need to go out there and make sure that, our trades, our staff, our customers, everyone is okay.
Now, I know you get very good feedback and reviews from your clients. What do you put that down to? What's the secret?
I tell them up front that I'm going to make a mistake. Yeah. So, and you can see that in our social media as well. And through our conversations with customers, we don't discount, we don't give anything away. I haven't given away free aircon or stone bench tops or, bathroom upgrades for 3-4 years now. I just don't do it. And I tell people straight up that I can't do it because I need money in the job in case I make a mistake, because I probably will, and I'll need to rectify that. And I don't want to be having an argument with you, because I want you to enjoy the process of building your home. So I set the expectation from the very beginning. I don't pretend that we're perfect. We're not. Building a home, it's really hard. It's really, really hard. And it takes a lot of people, a lot of materials. Things are going to go wrong, but I'll fix them. I won't walk away from you until you're fixed. My co-owner has a great saying. He said, we won't leave until there's a smile on your face. So I think it's setting the expectation from the beginning. I think too many brands pretend that they're this and then deliver that. So if you're listening, deliver a really high outcome, but they don't honour it. So you've set yourself up to fail from the beginning. So we're just honest in the way that we sell from the very, very beginning. So that flows through. And, I think we have 232 reviews on Google at the moment at 4.98 stars, which makes us the most reviewed builder in the country, definitely in the state. So not just in the number of reviews, but also the rating as well at 4.98 stars. So we spend a lot of time. We don't shy away from the customer. Customers can contact me at any time. I talk to just about every one of our customers. You go on our Facebook page, you go online, you can grab my email, you can grab my mobile number, you can call me directly. You can vent to me, you can talk to me. I'm not hiding. And I think customers really, really appreciate that.
Well, you definitely, as someone who just never seems to stop working, you seem to be working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Mm-hmm. Do you ever get time to do anything besides work, Steve?
No, I do, but I don't. I was asked this question yesterday by someone, if I ever rest or do I get stressed or tired. I don't, because I don't allow my work to dictate my emotions. I used to when I was younger, and this is something that has taken me a long time. Kookaburra Homes is merely a vehicle for me to go and achieve everything outside of Kookaburra. I don't allow Kookaburra to stress me out, create anxiety, make me tired. Do I enjoy it anymore? Don't I enjoy it? It's irrelevant. I'm so passionate about so many things outside of Kookaburra. When I come to work, I have tasks to complete, which I do, that assist me in doing greater work outside. So I don't get tired, because my goal is much greater than Kookaburra Homes. And that's why I tell everyone the key is to be really connected to your why and why you do things. If my why was Kookaburra Homes, I wouldn't be here. My why is my children. My why is highly vulnerable teenagers out there in the community who don't have a home, don't have a roof over their heads. That's what motivates me. I'm really connected to that. So I don't care what happens 9 to 5, 7 days a week. I enjoy it because it gives me that. If I came to work just to be motivated by building homes, like I said before, I'm not passionate about building homes. I wasn't passionate about Harvey Norman. Passionate about everything outside of that. My career, whatever job I have is merely a vehicle.
So you're still, pretty young, really. You're not 40 yet, but you've been able to cram a heck of a lot into your years already. What would you like to accomplish, in the next decade, perhaps, or even further going ahead?
It's definitely not work or career. Like, I don't worry about that. I let that just take care of itself. Like I said, I focus on my bigger why, which is about helping as many people as possible, in particular teenagers. So I'm just trying to structure my life in a way that allows me to be out there and influence as many of those children and teenagers as possible. That's all I'm really focused on. So in terms of accomplishing anything, I have a lot to learn as a human. I'm heavily flawed. There's lots of things I need to work on, which I'm really enjoying, self-reflecting and working through those things. And I'm really just focused on that, mate. And if I do that, the business will benefit as well. I think too many people focus on, the P&L, the purchasing, where we forget to just sit with ourselves and just self-reflect and think, okay, how can I be a better person? What can I do better? Which there's a lot of things that I can do. And then that resonates in the business as well. And especially if you're a leader, your people will see what you're trying to do, not just at work, but life in general. And they'll emulate that through their work. If that makes sense.
It absolutely does. And, I've seen the way your team responds to you. They definitely really look up to you. And I think you're doing a great job of being that leader at Kookaburra. But as, you're not a one-dimensional person, as I think you've covered. You're influencing people in a lot of different areas, a lot of them not building and construction related at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just not about construction. It's not about Kookaburra Homes. Like I said, it's just merely a vehicle. It does not come into my thinking at all. It took me a long time to get to that point, to think like that. I relied on a job, a career, a business to dictate how I feel, but I just don't anymore, mate. Life's too short. I don't have time for that. I can't allow a brand to dictate how I feel each and every day. I've got too many other things to do.
Steve, it's been a very interesting chat today. Covered a lot of territory, and I certainly really appreciate your frankness, your honesty. You don't try and pretend to be someone you're not. You come across as very authentic. I've known you for a long time. I know that what you see is what you get with you. I think you've been a great guest on this podcast, and so thanks for coming in, and I really look forward to seeing what you accomplish in years going ahead.
I appreciate you, mate. Thank you.
Thanks for joining me on Building Perspective. For more information on Master Builders or our guests, please visit our website at mbasa.com.au.